All right, I got another great interview with Alf from 3 Yards Per Carry. I put a little snippet at the end. We were going to do 60 minutes, and we were so wrapped up in all the stuff, I forgot to even get into a point that I wanted to until the last like 5 minutes or 7 minutes or so. But it was, for me, a very powerful one. Any thought of Chris Greer getting booted is a big deal. It changes everything. You know, whether you like him or you don't. If he leaves, moves on, things are going to be very different. So I put the little snippet out yesterday, and today I'm going to break this thing up into 3 parts because it was 60 minutes. I'm going to do 20, 20, 20, part 1, part 2, and part 3. And I'm going to get back to my leverage podcast that I started, part 1. Part 2 is going to be Inside Zone. I'm going to break down the blocking of Inside Zone and how it pairs with our offensive line. It's all going to come together in a big leverage study that I'm doing. But it's very important that we understand the inside zone and how our personnel is going to run it. At least in my opinion, I think it's critical. So that will be coming in between these breakups of my awesome interview with Alf. You will enjoy it. It's always informative. I always learn. Alf's just a great guy, and he graces this channel every now and then. So I hope you enjoy, because I did. All right, I got my man Alf from 3 Yards Per Carry. We had a great talk pre-recording, and it was unbelievable. I always enjoy you, brother. I think you're a real smart guy. You do a great job and everything, and you just bring some fine bit of information. So we're going to chat here. Dolphins offseason. It's a critical offseason. There's so many things going on. We're going to hit the free agency roundup, draft roundup, and then the Dolphins. What's this 2025 season all about? What's the expectations? And obviously a little Greer talk at the end of it, because he's the man. He's the guy, the center of all this. So that's going to be the deal. Alf, always great to see you. Let's kick it off on free agency. We got a ton of free agents. Only, I think, 3 guys signed for more than a single season. And none of the money's locked into 26. So I like a bunch of the signings. Some of them I'm so happy with. But I want to hear your take, rundown. Who's the guys that you think are real contributors, guys that you really like, and then the guys that you don't like?
Well, I think it's obvious that James Daniels is the prize of this offseason, right? Like
Mm,
that's a guy who's going to be a pretty big upgrade, and I think he's going to pay early dividends, immediate dividends to the run game, to the offensive line, to the guys around him. I think that him and Austin Jackson are going to make a pretty good pair if they play together. The other guy that I think is a really nice signing, and then I'm going to take the third one that I think is a really nice signing, but it's not really a nice signing, but as far as a team building thing. But the second guy that I got as a really nice signing is Nick Westbrook Akine.
yeah.
He's gonna be a nice third to Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. He has size, he has speed. He likes the blocking part of the game,
Like,
and there's film that suggested, okay, that they used him a lot they used him kind of like a white tight end if you watch him in ace personnel, in which is just 12 personnel, 2 tight end sets. So they were in 11 personnel, but they would use him like if he was another tight end. He's big, strong. He can move down the field. He had 9 touchdowns last year. That's not an accident. So I think that that's going to pay dividends because I think it represents the best that they've had behind the top 2 guys the last 2 years. So those are 2 major upgrades. The third is the linebacking core. I like what they've done as far as surrounding Jordan Brooks
yeah.
with the players that they've surrounded him with. Okay, because they didn't necessarily decide, okay, it's just one guy, and then we're just gonna have to figure it out behind them. They actually built a linebacking unit. Terrell Dodson's back. He's a guy that can play. He can play 3 downs. He's good in coverage.
Yeah.
Then they get the alley runner, the total fill guy in KJ Britt, who's completely one dimensional. Like he's not
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
out there on
Yeah.
third and long.
No.
That guy's there to just stop the run and nothing else. And then adding Willie Gay is a pretty nice addition.
Yeah. I'm doing film on him, trying to figure out what he's about.
So you got 4 guys to spill to fit 2 to
We
fill
got
2 spots.
Tyndall.
Tyndall's still around. So, I think Channing Tindall's problem is more mental than anything else because the
Yeah.
physical is not his problem.
No, but that
You
was
know?
his knock on him in the draft. The
Yeah,
mental
like,
aspect.
like that. Like if you watch him, his best moments in preseason have always come when they ask him to do very, very simple things, and he looks really good doing them. Like you have him rush off of the edge, and he looks really good doing it. Here's another thing I like about that linebacking core that they built. Willie Gay has some experience on the edge, and you already have Tyndall. If you start counting all the guys that they have under contract, the guys that they're counting on, which is the big 3 guys that they're counting on, which is Chop, Phillips, Bradley Chubb. Once you get past all of those guys, and you look at the rest of the roster, you could count up to 10 edge players.
Yeah, Quentin Bell too.
Yeah, Quentin Bell came back, so you could count up to as many as 10 edge players, and I think that's Weaver's doing, and that's a good thing. Now, here is where I kind of don't like what they've done in the offseason. Where is League? You can make me pretty
Before we get
happy.
it, before you, do you like Farrell? I like Farrell Brown.
Oh, yes. I like him as a wide tight end, but you got to understand what he is.
Yeah.
He's another one-dimensional player.
Yeah.
He's going to be asked to fill a specific role, and he's not being paid like he's going to do much else. So if you expect this guy to bust down the seam, you're not going to see that.
But
Okay.
Physical. I like
very, very physical. And remember, you still have Hayden Rucci under contract, and you have Julian Hill, who they've tried to develop, right?
Do you think he's going to get home? Hill's a curiosity. You think he's going to get there?
Well, I think what they paid Farrell Brown is a shot across the bow of Julian Hill. It means he's probably on borrowed time. And he still have Hayden Rucci. I don't know if you remember watching Hayden Rucci.
Yeah, he was pretty good. He got injured though, right, or something?
Yeah, out of Nebraska. He took an injury and they decided to stash him, if you remember. Because they said, we got our 4 and we're keeping our 4, but we want to keep the 5th guy around because he's kind of earned his way onto the team, but we're going to stash him on injury reserve for a while. Hayden Rucci's a big guy who pretty much does the same thing as Farrell Brown does, right? So they built some redundancy there. So I kind of like what they've done there.
I do too.
Now, what I don't like, as far as safety, they've built a safety room around what should be a major piece that they're going to pick up in the draft. If they take Malachi Starks or they take Nick Emenwari at number 13, it all makes sense, right? If they don't, then I think you're lacking there, and you're going to have to double and maybe triple up in the draft as far as secondary help. Because what you have at cornerback right now is you have an aging Jalen Ramsey, who played pretty well for at least half a season last year.
Yeah.
You have Kader Kohu, who's coming back.
Yep.
And then you have a couple of young guys and Storm Duck, who you kind of like. And I do like the back end of the room to see if somebody comes up, like a Jason Maitre. But Jason Maitre is kind of nickel confirmed. Like, that's all he's going to do. And then Isaiah Johnson's the opposite. Isaiah Johnson's a perimeter guy, and he doesn't do much else, right? So
I think they're
probably short a player there.
Ifutu, right? I can't say his last name.
Yeah, if Eti Melifonwo is another guy that they sign who's going to be part of that rotation. So if you look at the safety room, you could kind of see the vision, right? But it is missing that one headliner, right?
Yeah.
So I would expect that they're going to get that in the draft. So I do
Ashton
expect
Davis
them to,
was nice.
Yeah, I like Ashton Davis if he's part of a rotation.
Yeah, he's not. He's never had full-time duties,
So if he's part of 3 guys that could get on the field, and maybe you could play big nickel with somebody like a Nick Emenwari or somebody like Malachi Starks, or, man, I really like Jahdae Brown, okay, from Texas. And I mentioned him on Twitter, and somebody came out, and as somebody's always going to do.
Always. Oh, on Twitter.
Okay. Somebody says, you're going to take a 5'11" slot corner at number 13. If you're looking at him that way, then I suggest that Jahdae Brown is probably not for you. He's 5'11", 210 pounds almost. Okay.
I didn't know he was that big.
He played at 202 pounds, 205 pounds. He's played as heavy as 210 at Texas. So at the combine, he was 202 pounds and he ran 4.32.
I didn't know he was that good.
And if you watch his film, he plays in the box. He plays perimeter. He plays in the slot. Plays safety.
I'm checking him off.
Okay. I think Anthony Weaver is going to look at a player that he's going to look at him and say, I could play this guy everywhere. And that gives you
Big.
two players in the secondary, him and Jalen Ramsey, that are chess pieces.
He's 5'11", 210. He ran a 4.3.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know how he slipped by me. I think that's a nice little find there. I didn't know. I always thought he was like 190 or something. I was like, I don't know how I got the 210. Man, it's great.
I'll tell you exactly what he weighed at the combine, if you want me to. Let me
Sure,
get
why
that.
not? That is a nice. Like I said, Revis was like 5'11". Who cares? I mean, if you're physical enough and you can jam and you got the speed, height's not that big a deal.
All right, Texas, he weighed 202 pounds. At the combine, he measured in a full 5'11". Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So remember, they measure you without shoes, so you're barefoot.
Yeah.
So he's not small. Okay.
Yeah.
He weighed 194 pounds, and he obviously did that to run a
The
faster
40.
time. Okay. His athleticism score is 82. He ran a 4.39 40-yard dash
At
at the combine.
202, man. Even 194, that's not bad, man, at all.
You know, and his vertical was 35. His broad jump was 10.3.
Not
So,
bad.
and his 10-yard split, which is important, is 1.5 seconds.
That's
So,
good.
yeah, he's a chess piece for this team, and if they took him at 13, I'd be pretty happy. So, the bad is there that they're leaving themselves a lot to do at three spots. Look, they're trusting Mike McDaniel with the backup quarterback position. I don't know how much faith you can have with Zach Wilson, but evidently he has some. But they've done damn near nothing at defensive tackle. They're short at least two players there.
Easy.
I know that they want Emmanuel Ogbah back, so that helps a little bit at 5 tech, but they'll be short a player there as well. I know that they have an offer out for Calais Campbell, but even if let's say all of that works out, let's say Calais Campbell comes back for a year, let's say Emmanuel Ogbah comes back for a year, that patches enough holes for now. You would still need to get two defensive tackles in this draft.
Oh, Benito Jones is not good, man. I mean, if he jumps early, sometimes he does good, but
he's a 10, 12 snap guy, you know.
Yeah,
so
that's not usually not good, great snaps. What do you think about Chubb, man? He's about 270. What if he puts another 10 pounds on him, and with a bad leg, he might not have the same pop. He could play that 5 technique on occasion, even come in like a 4.
I'm wondering to see, you know, there's some dates coming up that are going to be important. I believe it's the end of May is going to be the first organized team activity where everybody's going to be there and the media is going to be in attendance, and Chubb is going to be in attendance for that, and he's going to work. I'm dying to see what he's going to weigh in at, right?
Yeah.
Because usually what some of these guys do when they come off a lower extremity injury, and I think Chubb, the team did right by Chubb, and then Chubb did right by the team, taking that quote-unquote pay cut.
Yeah.
You know, they gave him the year off when he probably could have played a little bit past midseason, but they were standings watching. You know what I mean?
And I don't think they wanted the guaranteed injury clause to kick in.
Exactly. I think if the team was 10-3, 10-4, he plays.
Yeah.
You know? But instead, they were looking at the team was pushing 500, maybe. They were looking at that and saying, you know what? This is probably not worth it.
Yeah.
And we don't want to cut this guy a $16 million check if he happens to get injured. So we're going to redshirt him for the year, and we'll bring him back next year. Usually guys that do that, guys that come off of injuries like that and have a long layoff, they tend to come in lighter, not heavier. So I'm wondering to see what he's going to weigh in at, because we know he played at 274 pounds, right?
Yeah, it was like 270, 268, 274, something around that range. I don't know.
So I'm wondering what he's going to weigh come the end of May when they have their first OTAs. You know,
remember Campbell came in and he was usually about 300. He came in, he was like 320. They knew he wanted to play interior, you know, deep interior, and he put on 20, 30 pounds. Guy that tall is probably so easy, a couple of hamburgers.
Yeah, they told. Yeah, I remember that Calais Campbell when he had his first availability in training camp, and they asked him, "Did they tell you where you're going to play? Are you going to play a little bit more on the edge?" And he says, "No, I'm playing inside. I'm playing 3, 1, and 0 techniques sometimes." You know, and I remember I got pretty excited about that because I did a cut up where I posted it on OnlyFans, I believe. And by the way, if you guys want to become a member of OnlyFans, you got to go to our Discord, and that's at discord.gg/OnlyFans. Okay.
So
All
sweet. So
access is
sweet.
$4.99 a month. But on there, I posted the interview where he said, I'm going to play a little bit of zero too. So what I did is I got a cut up of all of his reps at Atlanta his last season, because older players, I don't like to look 2-3 years in the past,
Yeah.
because that's not usually who they are. So I look at their immediate past. And sometimes I even ignore the beginning of the season. I'll look at the last 3 games of their last season.
Smart to see if the body's still holding up.
Yeah, to see what they're looking like, right? And what I was seeing is a player who was impossible to block right over the center. Like, he was
Such
a bear.
Yeah.
All right. And sure enough, this year that paid some dividends too. So I remember he said, no, I'm playing 0, 1, and 3 for the most part. And man, what a season he put in, you know?
And on top of it, you saw him on the sidelines, pumping guys up, getting guys' faces. He is an all-time great. It was a brilliant move to get him in. We were so lucky, man. It's unbelievable. I just feel like I feel a little lost without him, because Wilkins had that fire, to get into people's skins, to drive the team, and you couldn't do a better job replacing him for the price. I can't believe he's 39. It's unbelievable. He's superhuman.
Yeah, no, it's insane. It's insane. But he's in great shape, and you could see it right away. And it's back to that planet theory thing, right? Bill Parcells talked about this. Like, there's just so many humans on Earth
Yeah.
that are, 6'8", 320 pounds,
It,
and that tends to matter, man. It tends to matter.
it's unbelievable. He was 6'8", and he could get the leverage at the 0 and at the 1 and then the 2. I mean, it's one thing to be on edge because all his tackles are mostly big. He's extraordinary, so extraordinary.
Yeah, but back to the defensive tackle position. Yeah, let's say all of that works out. And let's say, not that I have any information on this, but, wink. Let's say that Raekwon Davis came back, right? Because he's still a free agent, right? I still think you need 2 defensive tackles out of this draft, and you need one early to play a lot.
Yep.
Because you're losing a lot of snaps off of last year's team.
Yeah.
Remember Deshaun Hand now is with the Chargers, and he played like 600 snaps.
How do we let him
like
go?
That. I don't know. He left for $3.25 million, which, if you mark it up for taxes, I guess that's 2.6, 2.7. That's a Weaver call. It's obviously that's a Weaver call.
Yeah.
Because they essentially just said, pass. We wish you luck. We wish you the best, but we don't wish that it's going to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. I was very surprised on them. But maybe that was their intention. They're just going to load up on young guys in the draft.
Yeah. That's another thing. Every single guy that they've signed in free agency is 27 years or younger.
Yep. Fine. Getting back, we were the youngest team in the league like 3 years ago. Now we're the old. So we definitely need to get youth. You need youth. I mean, it doesn't prevent you from getting injuries, but it definitely curbs it a little bit, gives you better odds. Can't have all these old guys, not with all luck when it comes to injuries. So who's the guys you don't like from free agency? I got one. I'm sure you can guess who that is.
Well, I don't understand, what, and I said this on Twitter. The same staff that comes to the evaluation that James Daniels is going to be the priority. Okay. And we got to be pretty happy about that, because we do a little cheat sheet for free agency where we lay out our plan. And he was our top target. Our top target for free agency was James Daniels. And all 3 of us were on board. Myself, Simon, and Chris. All 3 of us said, that's where we're going to devote our free agent dollars. Okay. We're going to go after James Daniels. That's who we want. Right. And we've actually gotten like 2 or 3 players, or actually 4 players off of our list that they've actually picked up. So, we got to be pretty happy about that. Somehow the same staff that could identify James Daniels and, to a lesser extent, identified Aaron Brewer and has developed Austin Jackson and signed Teron Armstead, and had
even Connor.
And had the wherewithal to pick up Connor Williams and say, no, this is a guy that played left tackle at Texas, played guard in the NFL with Dallas. We're gonna make him a center, and it's gonna work, and it's gonna work well, and it actually worked well.
Yeah.
Somehow, the same people keep bringing back Liam Eichenberg. I don't understand. And the other one is Larry Borom. Now, I could kind of see it because Kyle Krabs opened my eyes to this. Go look at his reps as a guard. He moves people, but that's natural. He's 6'5", 340 pounds, right? So he better move people, you know. But as a tackle, I think he's hopeless. He can't. He just can't play the position.
He's next on my study list after.
There is no redeeming quality I can see whatsoever at tackle. He's just another guy that the scheme is going to have to cover for and cater to, and that's the problem.
That cover for and cater to, man. Nice.
Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.